This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Friday, May 8th. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look a little different today and in the near future as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at our VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. The World Health Organization says dire infection and death numbers from coronavirus could be in the future for tens of thousands of Africans. The United Nations agency responsible for international public health says up to 44 million people in Africa could contract COVID-19 and 190,000 may die if the virus is not contained. A new WHO report looks at 47 countries on the African continent. It says while the rates of transmission in Africa would be slower than in other parts of the world during the pandemic's first year, COVID-19 in Africa could simmer for a long time in what the report calls hotspots. Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, the WHO Africa Regional Director, says, quote, COVID-19 could become a fixture in our lives for the next several years unless a proactive approach is taken by many governments in the region. Dr. Moeti says testing, tracing, isolating, and treating is paramount to contain the disease. If little or nothing is done, the medical capacity across Africa will be overwhelmed, and curbing a large-scale outbreak is far costlier than the ongoing preventive measures governments are undertaking to contain the spread of the virus, according to Dr. Moeti. Elsewhere across Africa, death is a communal event and funerals are often extravagant affairs attended by hundreds of people. But due to COVID-19 restrictions in South Africa, only 50 are now allowed to gather, and in Nigeria and Kenya, that number has been slashed to 20 and 15 respectively. There are now over 3.8 million cases of COVID-19 and nearly 270,000 deaths, but at least 1.2 million people have now recovered from the virus, according to Reuters. The World Health Organization is warning that Africa could become the next epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, and a Reuters survey has found the continent has less than one intensive care bed per 100,000 people. Angela Okomadu reports.
At an airport in Belgium, medical supplies including masks and gloves are being loaded onto a cargo flight. Their destination, Africa. But as the World Health Organization warns the continent could become the next epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, a Reuters survey has revealed gaping holes in the continent's health care, and not just in terms of personal protective equipment. Take intensive care beds. Reuters polling found there's less than one intensive care bed per 100,000 people in Africa. That's around 9,800. But analysis of scientific projections suggests that even in a best-case scenario, at least 10 times that number could be needed at the height of Africa's pandemic. The amount of ICU beds also varies widely. Chad, an oil-rich but impoverished nation of 15 million people, has only 10, whereas Mauritius, a financial hub home to 1.2 million, has 121. The same is true of ventilators. Across the continent, there are 9,300, but a third are in South Africa, with many in private hospitals. Some nations, such as Guinea-Bissau, have none at all. Mauritania has 1. Liberia says it has 6. Somalia has 19. Those ventilators need an oxygen supply, but the survey found a shortfall there as well. Kenya, for example, has nearly 300 ventilators, but a critical shortage of oxygen, according to a Senate report. Africa has recorded over 51,000 COVID-19 cases so far, a fraction of the estimated 3.8 million globally. But low levels of testing make it impossible to know the true scale of infection. The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa has said the continent could see nearly 123 million cases this year, causing 300,000 deaths. Testing capacity has expanded sharply, but the continent has still carried out only around 685 tests per million people, according to a tally of figures from the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. By comparison, Europe has carried out just under 23,000 per million. As John Nkengasong, director of the Africa CDC, has said, if you don't test, you don't find.
That was Angela Okumadu of Reuters reporting. The United Nations is boosting its global appeal, asking for close to $7 billion to avoid devastating repercussions from the COVID-19 pandemic. The UN's emergency relief chief tells VOA the updated plan to fight the coronavirus will target 9 more countries, including 7 in Africa: Benin, Djibouti, Liberia, Mozambique, Sierra Leone, Togo, and Zimbabwe. VOA's diplomatic correspondent Cindy Sain reports.
$1 billion has been raised since March, and the United Nations is asking for more to aid poorer countries battling the coronavirus.
We have made a good start. Now we must build on it.
The UN plan prioritizes about 50 countries in Africa and the Middle East, but also places such as Venezuela, Haiti, and Bangladesh, where there are large numbers of refugees. UN Relief Chief Mark Lowcock told VOA.
So what makes those kind of places vulnerable is, firstly, they have extremely weak health systems, so their ability to cope with a deadly virus like coronavirus is very weak. And secondly, their populations, in many cases, millions of people, are right on the verge of survival.
Other relief leaders warn that action and money are needed now from wealthy countries and wealthy individuals.
What we're facing now is a double pandemic of truly famines that could impact us in biblical proportions.
Beasley is in Washington for meetings with U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and congressional leaders. He and the UN's emergency relief coordinator believe taxpayers in the U.S., Germany, and other countries with more means will meet the challenge. Cindy Sain, VOA News.
There is no proven medical cure or prevention against COVID-19, but Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina is claiming a beverage brewed from a local herb can fight the disease. The herb, called Artemisia, is commonly used to make tea. Madagascar has shipped the herbal mixture to other African countries, but the country has not released any scientific proof of Artemisia's effectiveness against coronavirus. VOA's Jason Patinkin spoke to virologist Dr. Dennis Chopera in South Africa.
There's a lot of interest in this product coming out of Madagascar, made from this local herb called Artemisia. Can you begin by explaining, what do you know about Artemisia?
What I know about it is it's available. It grows wildly in quite a number of African countries. For example, if you go to Zimbabwe, you will find this in your supermarket as a herbal tea, pretty much like green tea and so on. People consume it for quite a number of illnesses, primarily malaria.
Is this actually useful, or is this actually effective in fighting COVID-19, which is what the president of Madagascar claims?
We do not know. But my own perception is that the president of Madagascar, even with the resources that they have, even with meager resources that we have in Africa, I think it is very easy to set up a very basic clinical trial so that at least we can prove that it is effective. And that has not been done. And if I remember correctly, just last week or the week before, even the Minister of Health in Madagascar was skeptical about its effectivity.
And so what would your recommendation be to people, whether in Madagascar or in any country in the world? What would your recommendation be if they are considering using this product to either prevent COVID-19 or to treat COVID-19?
I wouldn't personally advise anyone to use it to treat COVID-19. At the moment, there is no proven treatment that has been effective. And we've seen people are just, I think even out of desperation, are pretty much resorting to taking anything that they come across. But I don't think people should expect that it will cure COVID-19 because that has not been proven scientifically.
This isn't the first time when a president has promoted a cure for COVID-19 without the completion of clinical trials. In the United States, for instance, President Donald Trump promoted chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, which are also both used to fight malaria. Clinical trials were not completed, and so far there is no evidence that that has succeeded. Do you think we're looking at a similar case here with Artemisia in Madagascar?
I think so, and I think the only difference is that now there's widespread use beyond Madagascar of this herb, which is not the case, I assume, in the USA, where I don't think a lot of people are using chloroquine as a treatment for COVID-19. We've had quite a number of drugs that have been speculated to be effective, and they've been put to trial. So I think we still have to go through that process of actually conducting trials, even if they're small and rapid, so that at least we've got scientific evidence to demonstrate that whatever we recommend people to use has been tested scientifically to be effective.
Now, one of the reasons that people are very excited about this product from Madagascar is they're saying it's African, it comes from Africa. It's not an instance of a medicine being developed in the West or in China or another country and being given or distributed in Africa. It's coming from Africa itself. What is your response to this?
Yeah, I think that's a positive. And if it was to be shown that it is effective, I think this would be a great breakthrough for Africa because it's something that grows wildly. But at the moment, we still have to test its effectiveness and prove that it is effective before it is widely promoted.
Kenyan officials say flooding and landslides in the East African country have killed nearly 200 people, displaced 100,000, and strained critical infrastructure with an unprecedented high water levels at 2 dams, forcing the evacuation of villagers at risk. The heavy rain, which accelerated in mid-April, is expected to continue in already hard-hit areas in the coming weeks, according to the Kenyan Meteorological Department. The government is providing food and water to the displaced people, and it has requested the health ministry to provide them with masks as a precautionary measure. Eugene Wamalwa, the minister in charge of relations between the regional leadership and the national government, says the floods and landslides have been concentrated in Western Kenya. France will slowly begin unwinding a 2-month lockdown next week, but not for its restaurants. A new poll finds the coronavirus pandemic may put nearly 1/3 of French restaurants out of business. Lisa Brandt takes a look at the industry's dilemma and a pro bono movement born from the crisis.
Another day at SAPRISTI restaurant, cooking up hundreds of meals for hungry customers. That's about the only thing still the same. Like elsewhere in Europe, COVID-19 has shuttered France's restaurants. Nobody knows when they'll reopen. Waiters and cooks are out of work. Those here are volunteering their time for a new clientele.
We're making pasta alla strombolana with tuna, capers and basil. Also sautéed chicken with mushrooms and parsley.
These chefs cook up 3,500 meals a week for frontline workers in the crisis, not just health staff, but also police, firemen, and garbage men. They're working for free.
We love the restaurant's work, we love cooking. We can't doing nothing and stay at home and just wait.
Hakim Gawi's restaurant chain has contributed more than $60,000 to finance the free meals and raised $11,000 more in private donations.
It helps us in our daily work. It's a little plus that makes us feel good.
But charity work can't solve the bigger problem. Can the restaurant industry survive in a post-COVID world of face masks and social distancing? Even with the French government bankrolling unemployment costs, the industry has already lost billions. Gawi's own chain is losing more than $100,000 a day. It plans to launch a delivery service to slow the hemorrhage until it can fully reopen, and so diners won't forget the eatery. Yet Gawi and his chefs don't think eating out is over. Fine dining is part of the French identity, and creativity is part of their trade. Someday, they are certain, the customers will be back. Lisa Bryant for VOA News, Rueil-Malmaison, France.
We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, a Nigerian expectant mother shares the joy of Mother's Day with music. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Africa 54. A few years ago, using something called augmented reality, cell phone games became viral sensations. Today, a Chinese company has adopted the same technology to help fight a viral pandemic with thermal glasses that show what our eyes can't see. VOA's Arashar Basadi reports.
Using similar augmented reality technology that powered the popular game Pokemon Go, Chinese tech startup Rocket Inc. fashioned a cutting-edge tool that can quickly and unobtrusively screen people for fevers, a warning sign of possible COVID-19 infections. Thermal glasses that detect the temperatures of passers-by are helping security guards like Chen Guojiang.
I've been wearing these glasses for a week. My job is patrolling this area and checking people's temperatures. These glasses are convenient compared to a thermometer. It's safe. We can keep a safe distance.
Rocket calls them T1 glasses and says they've sold roughly 1,000 pair after 2 weeks of production to governments, schools, and industrial parks. Rocket's vice president, Zhang Wenji, explains how remote temperature checking works.
An infrared thermometer connects to the glasses, which transmit data quickly, calculated by AI. So when you're wearing the glasses, you can immediately detect temperatures of people 2 or 3 meters in front of you.
The company says the sensor is accurate to 0.1 degrees Celsius, giving screeners a valuable tool.
I think right now the pandemic is not over yet. Measures like this can make employees like us who work in this innovation park feel safe.
Rocket says it's upgrading the T1 to simultaneously take multiple temperature readings. Wenji says sales are climbing in overseas markets as countries worldwide seek ways to combat the coronavirus. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News, Washington.
An animated video from Nigeria is teaching children about the coronavirus, and it's having a global impact. VOA's Salem Solomon spoke to Nigerian filmmaker Niyi Akinmolayan.
Educating children about something as complicated and frightening as the coronavirus is not easy. Nigerian filmmaker Niyi Akinmolayan decided to use the universal symbol of a big green cartoon monster with sharp teeth.
I'm going to play football with my friends, and there's nothing you can... Silence!
So there was a struggle to try and explain to my 5-year-old what it meant for everyone to be on the lockdown. But beyond that was also to explain to them what the coronavirus was and how to get them washing their hands.
In a 93-second animated video, a young boy named Habib desperately wants to go out to play football. His older sister Funke warns him that because of the virus, playing with his friends is unsafe.
Mommy will be sick, no more jollof rice. Huh? Daddy will be sick, no more going out to see movies.
Oh no, not the movies, no!
An uncertain Habib peeks out through the door to see a giant green coronavirus-shaped monster roaring.
Yes, you are.
See for yourself.
He slams the door, screaming.
Okay, it's real! It's real! What should we do?
The coronavirus is out there.
Akinmolayan says he wanted to make the impact the virus is having to come alive for children, but also empower them to prevent it.
I kept failing at every logical attempt I made until I came up with the idea of the monster that was outside, and the monster would prevent you from going out to have fun. And I was like, the only way we're all going to beat this monster is by washing our hands. So I think when I had that exchange with him, that was the light bulb moment.
Akinmolayan is a popular director whose film The Wedding Party 2 is the highest grossing movie in the history of Nigeria's film industry, nicknamed Nollywood. He's the founder and creative director of Ant Hill Studios, and his latest film, The Setup, is streaming on Netflix. He says he has collaborated with friends and co-workers on an animated project during the lockdown.
Then we're already working from home, and I said, hey guys, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to write a script. I'm going to do the voicing and all that. We're going to voice it in all the 4 key languages in Nigeria, and then we're going to do an animation, and that's what we did.
He uploaded it to Google Drive and made it free to download and reuse on all social media platforms. In addition to the original 4 languages, English, Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, it has been translated into French, Swahili, and Portuguese. It aired in Nigeria and around the globe.
I actually get parents send me screenshots or videos and tell me that I have made their kids, make them run out of soap. So parents are running out of soap because the kids, once they watch the film, even if they just come out of the shower, once they see the animation on TV, they go to pour more soap in their hands.
While he's grateful the video has reached faraway places, Akinmolayan says he's most excited that it's had a positive effect on children. Salam Solomon, VOA News, Washington.
75 years ago, Nazi Germany surrendered to the Allies. The war in the Pacific would continue for another 3 months, but May 8, 1945 marked the start of a new era after the deadliest war in the world's history. VOA's Michael Sullivan looks back on Victory in Europe, or VE Day.
Jubilation at the end of the fighting in Europe 3 years after the United States had joined the effort. As the world discovered the extent of Nazi atrocities, fierce fighting against Japan continued in the Pacific. More than 60 million people died in the conflict. The Allied victory was not inevitable. Its success came from many large and small decisions.
A lot of decisions by individuals, individual presidents, individuals on battlefields, ship commanders.
The threat of Nazism led to a partnership of unlikely allies.
Talking about disparate, America, Britain, the Soviet Union, getting together to destroy Germany and its minions in Europe, and eventually the Japanese Empire as well. It's a great example of how a coalition should work.
After the war, Europe emerged from the ashes, rebuilt in part by the U.S. Marshall Plan and a new desire for European unity.
And a lot of the transformations in Europe, the institutions that we see, came out of both the need to rebuild after World War II and the sense that the Europeans no longer, after the war, felt like they could do it on their own. They had to have help.
For many, the United States became a model.
Today, in the world of freedom, the proudest boast is, Ich bin ein Berliner.
The U.S. promoted international institutions.
With things like the United Nations, with setting up the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and basically pegging the world economy to the U.S. dollar.
Tensions were heightened in a new Cold War, with the United States pitted against the Soviet Union and Communist China. Today, with the rise of a new nationalism, many countries are turning inward.
There's a question whether traditional American values like free trade are really working in our favor anymore. So there's definitely been a change in attitude from the generation in 1945.
With the loss of much of U.S. manufacturing and facing a pandemic, this is a time of reevaluation.
Now, when we don't have enough drugs being made here in the US, when we don't have enough masks, enough protective equipment, we're looking at it and realizing this is a lot like a wartime situation from a production standpoint.
Recalling a day of celebration and unity, now focused on a very different challenge. Mike O'Sullivan, VOA News, Los Angeles.
In our entertainment segment, many countries honor mothers and mother figures once a year with a Mother's Day celebration. In the United States, it happens every second Sunday in May since 1907, when it was first established by a woman in the state of West Virginia. Music Time in Africa host Heather Maxwell brings us new music from Nigeria by an expectant mother to share the joy of Mother's Day worldwide. Hello, Heather and Kwame.
Hi, Esther. Hello, Kwame.
Hey, Heather. Hi, Esther.
So this coming Sunday is Mother's Day, and what better song to have for Song of the Week than a song dedicated to all the beautiful mothers in the world, and especially in Africa.
So this week we have Simi, who is an expectant mother, with the song Duduke. Let's get it.
I love this song so much. She is radiant and beautiful, as all expecting mothers are, but yet she's also still voluptuous and beautiful in that way too. It's just amazing.
Yes. Simi simply looks beautiful in this video and sounds beautiful. And with Simi, a fusion of, high life and a fusion of Afro pop and then a fusion of just R&B, just singing to her yet to be born baby, she's saying the baby makes her heart go Duduke. Beautiful, man. It's just sweet. Beautiful. So that was Simi with the song Duduke.
And I'm Heather Maxwell. That's Kwame Asante Ofori, live for you from our homes in Washington, D.C. for Song of the Week.
Happy Mother's Day and stay safe.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.